What is up, everyone? Welcome to this episode of Odds and Ends. Last week I did a video about my top 5 most overrated Nintendo games. We got a great response on that. So today we're going to do our top 5 underrated Nintendo games. Before we get to our list, I just want to point out that this is not a hidden gems video. Are there any hidden gems left? Leave a comment down below. However, I feel that these games, although they're known and people have talked about them, I still don't think they get the credit that they deserve. And to be honest, looking at their rankings on some of these lists, it's kind of criminal. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into our list. So coming in at number 5 is Vice Project Doom, released by Sammy in 1991, ranked 47 on IGN's Top 100 Nintendo Games list, and number 70 on the Top 100 NESGames.com. Its current price for a loose cart is about $45. Now you'd think like, well, it's ranked in the top 75, how can it be underrated? Well, there's kind of a simple answer to that. Vice Project Doom is a sexy pick when it comes to Nintendo games. It is very underrated, and there are plenty of YouTubers that have talked about it, which has sort of helped it in the rankings. You have a bunch of people that don't know anything about this game that have mentioned it, they've never played it, and kind of gave it a boost in the rankings. So I feel that the rankings on this are a little bit misleading. When one YouTuber mentions a game and then everybody repeats the same thing, do they really think that, or are they just sort of clout chasing and repeating? But anyway, Vice Project Doom is a cross-genre game, and I think that the real measure is that everyone that I've recommended this game to, they've always ended up liking it. Everybody that plays this game loves to play this game, and really there aren't a lot of experiences like it on the Nintendo. Like I said, it's a hybrid, mostly platform style, like like a Batman or a Ninja Gaiden, but it features 2 top-down vehicle combat stages like Spy Hunter and 2 auto-scrolling first-person shooter stages, kind of like Operation Wolf. The gameplay is awesome. The graphics are awesome. It is just an incredible game. You have like 3 weapons, a laser whip, a gun, and grenades that you can get on the fly. You can change on the fly. And you need to refill your gun and your grenade ammo, but the laser whip, which is kind of OP, you have unlimited uses on that, which makes bosses easy because it does a lot of damage to the bosses. But anyway, it's just a very satisfying game to play. There's always power-ups and energy refills around, so you don't feel that difficulty that you would get with like a Ninja Gaiden. The Vice Project Doom has a kick-ass soundtrack and great graphical style, including those cutscenes, man. Those great Nintendo cutscenes. And looking from the rankings, IGN and the top 100 Nintendo Games list, like I said, I would suspect that it got a boost in the rankings because bigger YouTubers mentioned it, not necessarily because a lot of people have played it and feel that strongly about it. So it's sort of weird. It is underrated, but if you look at its rankings, it's probably right where it should be. I think it's a top 50 game. But anyway, Vice Project Doom is number 5. So coming in at number 4, wow, what an adventure. Journey to Silius. Sunsoft, 1990, ranked 81 on IGN's top Nintendo list and 59 on the top 100 Nintendo Games.com. Current price for a cartridge is about $50. I was lucky enough to pick mine up for $25, which was great. But I'm just going to say it, okay? This is a top 50 game. I don't care whose list you're looking at. This should be a top 50 game. And sure, that YouTubers have mentioned this one in the past, hidden gems videos, underrated Nintendo games videos, stuff like that, but they don't really do the game justice. They don't give it enough recognition. I get that they only have a certain amount of time in the video, but it seems like they've never played this game. And this is what they always say about Journey to Silius, right? It was supposed to be a Terminator game. Whoopie freaking do, it's not a Terminator game. You know what I mean? That's an interesting story, I guess. And the other one is, it's like Mega Man because you can switch between weapons. And I'm like, that's a little flimsy. That's a little light because there's no level select and all the weapons share the same ammo bars. So it's not like Mega Man at all. Crazy town. I'm just going to go on record and say Journey to Silius has the best soundtrack on the Nintendo that I've heard. From the start screen to the end credits, they are all bangers. So let's just take a sample. Let's listen to a sample of some of that sweet, sweet Journey to Silius music. So listen, man, at its heart, Journey to Silius is just a platformer. It's a great platformer, and just like Mega Man, enemies drop ammo and health refills. Okay, I'll stop. But although health refills are sort of slim, I wouldn't count on them to get you through the levels. Just sort of get good at the levels and get through it. And at the end of the level, you fight sort of a stage mini boss that will give you a new weapon, a homing missile, a grenade, a laser, whatever it is, which you then use on the final boss. It's all sort of set up that way. The main stage boss, that is. It really isn't genre breaking or genre defining like that, but it's creative, and as you may need certain weapons to get past certain parts. For example, use the homing missile to destroy enemies that are squatting in the areas where you're going to jump and land. So you got to kind of strategize and manage that one energy bar that you have for all your ammos. You get 3 lives and 2 continues, and you can get 9 continues if you use the secret password. But I would really just recommend playing the game the way it was supposed to be played. You really will learn the levels, and it will eventually become easy. The last level, however, is sort of an auto scroller that has you jumping on conveyor belts over pits, avoiding fire drips and boxes, stuff like that. But overall, the game is pretty short. I would refer to it as a nice day game, because you could probably beat it in a day if you had a Saturday afternoon that you didn't have anything to do. You wanted to pop in a new Nintendo game. Journey to Silius is perfect for that. And the fact that Journey to Silius is ranked number 81 on IGN's top 100 list, while Kid Nicky Radical Ninja is ranked 49, that kind of pisses me off. Makes me question these lists. I mean, I get why someone would probably rank like a sports game or a racing game ahead of Journey to Silius, because that's preference outside of the same genre. But when you have 2 platformers and one is awesome, has a great soundtrack, is fun to play, and the other one is Kid Nicky Radical Ninja, it's just kind of heartbreaking. Even though Journey to Silius is ranked on both of these lists, I still feel that it is very, very underrated, because Kid Nicky Radical Ninja. Coming in at number 3 is a game that I hear nobody talk about. It's Cobra Triangle, released by Rare, 1989, ranked number 66 on IGN's top 100 Nintendo Games list, 92 on the top 100 NESGames.com list. Its current price for loose cart, $10 whole dollars. If you don't have this in your collection, get it. Get it very, very quickly. The game isn't for everyone, though, so hear me out on this. But the point here is to look for, games, look at these games sort of objectively and unbiased as you can, and see what they bring to the table. Cobra Triangle is sort of an isometric vehicle combat game. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun to play. The levels are very short, but they're very difficult, very challenging. The physics and perspective can be difficult to manage at times, but it's really no different than any other game. You just kind of have to learn it, okay? The idea is that you're playing these various short but varied, bright, and colorful levels to save swimmers, defuse bombs, avoid obstacles, and eventually fight some bosses. The levels, like I said, typically short. They consist of like racing other boats or beating the clock, downriver. You defuse these bombs. You take the bombs and you move them to a bomb defusal area, which is kind of cool. And you save swimmers, and that's sort of like a tower defense type of situation there. Which is great, because but like I said, it's very fast, very quick. It's fun to pick up and play, but hard to master. You can power up your boat. You can collect 1-ups, which you will need to beat the 25 levels. Only 25 levels long. Each level is very short, but again, very challenging. This game isn't for everyone, like I said, because there is a learning curve and it is kind of difficult. But it's a fast-paced game. If you like fast-paced games or something a little unusual, for $10, you cannot go wrong. its ranking and its price sort of prove how underrated it is. You know what I mean? 92. Did I mention that Kid Nicky Radical Ninja? Okay, I'll stop. But definitely check out Cobra Triangle. Coming in at number 2 is the Guardian Legend. This is a perfect example of what I am talking about. Compile and IRIM 1989. Ranked 87 on IGN's Top 100 Nintendo Games. Number 62 on the top NESGames.com. Its current price is $15 for a loose cartridge. That is a steal. You know what? I'm reading my notes right here. I'm looking at them, and I'm getting kind of upset because I just recently played through this game. I've had it on my backlog for a while, and it is one of the most epic games I've ever played. And I hate when game reviewers and they give their opinions that don't play games. Like, you should have to put a disclosure. I couldn't get past the first level, and that's why I said this game is trash. Okay, I don't understand this game. So I don't like it. So I gave it a bad score. They haven't finished the game. They're just repeating things that other people say to give a hot take. You know, whatever it is. It's annoying and it's misleading. But I'm here to tell you that this is a clear example that these people do not play the games or know anything about the games before they write a review. This was the blurb that was written on the top 100 NESGames.com about the Guardian Legend, and I quote, "Guardian Legend is a really cool and massive game made by the same folks that made Gunnak. The main character is a spaceship and a badass space pirate woman. So the gameplay is split between shooter levels when you're a ship and a top-down RPG style game when you're the lady." Anybody else just cringe and facepalm? Like, what did you tell me about the game in that 2 sentences? It's because of shit like this that we still have to make underrated Nintendo game lists. Just to illustrate this point further, the IGN Top 100 NES game list has Ring King, Tecmo World Wrestling, Ice Climber, Akari Warriors, Kicks, Clacks, all ranked ahead of the Guardian Legend. What was that other? Oh, and Kid Nicky Radical Ninja. I would be ashamed if I worked at IGN. Despite the terrible cover art, the Guardian Legend is one of the most incredible and creative games on the Nintendo. Sure, it has some quirks, like the map isn't great and it doesn't really tell you what to do, what the items are, etc. You know, the manual sort of explains the items, but you got to kind of figure it out, and that exploratory nature is something that makes it great. I'm actually going to play that game after I do this video. I love that game so much. It's incredible. You get to certain spots in this game where it's like, I can't beat it. And then you go back, maybe I missed an item. You pick up a weapon and you're like, well, I already had that weapon. Then you look and you find out that your weapon actually leveled up, and you have that aha moment. Then you go back and you crush the boss because you leveled up your weapon by 1. That's the type of greatness that Guardian Legend provides. And that's just in the overworld exploratory realm. In the shooter stages, which seem overwhelming, but you quickly realize that when you're using your special weapon, you can't take contact damage. So if something collides into you, you don't take damage from that. In fact, it will increase the amount of drops that enemies give you, so you'll have more health and more ammo. And I don't think people realize this. And when people in their videos, in their stupid little review videos, say, oh, the shooting levels are so challenging. No, just use a special weapon. You won't take any collision damage. You can't get hit by the bullets, but you can smash into the enemies. But that's not something they say, because that's not something they know, because they don't play the games. The format is very simple and it repeats. So there's no crazy curveball. Each area has sort of one overhead section where you explore. You find your upgrades, shops, save points, and in each area there are 2 corridor, quote unquote, shooter stages. The single digits, like 1 through 10, are required because you get a key, which opens the next stage. Wash, rinse, and repeat, right? We've all played video games before. The double-digit ones, 11 through 20, are all optional, but you're going to want to do those because they give you extra upgrades, which you're going to need. It's not a hard concept to figure out. I don't know why everybody has this crazy, like, this is the hardest game of all time. You know, this is a tough game. They never played it. And it's a crime that the Guardian Legend isn't in the top 50 of both lists. especially when those games that I mentioned, Kid Niki Radical Ninja, is ranked ahead of it. If I had to make a list of what I thought were the best Nintendo games, not my favorite, not the most nostalgic, no gimmick list like stupid underrated Nintendo games list, I would absolutely put the Guardian Legend in my top 40. It would probably be in my top 30. It is that great of a game, completely underrated, and I'm sure everybody will agree. All right, so coming in at number one, my most underrated Nintendo tape of all time is Kabuki Quantum Fighter. I had this game when I was a kid and I love it. Released by HAL in 1991. Not ranked on IGN's top 100 Nintendo games list, and it's not ranked on top 100 NESgames.com. Its current price for a loose cartridge is about $25, which means you could get all three of my underrated Nintendo games for $50. That's crazy. Crazy to think about that and the modern landscape of video games and how expensive this shit is. So it's not ranked on any of these lists. Barely any YouTubers talk about it. Nobody in the retro community really cares. I remember when this was like a $5 game and then it shot up to 25, 30, $40 or something like that. But it's an action-packed thrill ride of a game, man. It sounds and controls awesome. Plays similar to Ninja Gaiden or Batman, but without all of that extreme difficulty, man. This is an easier game to play, right? Visually, it's more like a Castlevania or a Metroid or an Abadox Life Force. It's got sort of that kind of style to it, pumping hearts and skulls in the background kind of thing. Pretty simple story. You got to go into the computer to stop a deadly virus. That was definitely an 80s and a 90s thing. The computer scans you, recognizes your grandfather as a Kabuki, so it creates the avatar for you in the game. And your main attack is this awesome like hair whip, but you can also kick while you're holding onto platforms, and you have sub-weapons, and you get one new sub-weapon after you defeat the level boss, which is great. And you can use those. I think you have to either have to select or start and then hit select. I'm not sure if you can switch them on the fly like that. You may have to pause the game to switch between them, but they are pretty sweet. Another interesting mechanic is that you have chips, which you can convert. Basically, they're your ammo, but you could convert them into health and vice versa. If you have too much health or a lot of health and no ammo, you could trade your health for ammo in game. And this really provides an interesting level of strategy because you could be sort of in a safe distance and need to transfer health into ammo, so you could use a projectile to get an enemy that's on the other side of the screen, and vice versa, right? You might be in a situation where you have a lot of ammo and you just want to run through everything. You'd convert that back into health. So there's a little bit of level management and strategy there. And like I said, it is very, very unique. It's not talked about very much, I should say. It's a fun game to play with. The acrobat type physics keep it going, and it's nicely paced. It feels awesome when you get a level down and you're able to sort of like jump, flip past anything, sort of like in Ninja Gaiden or Batman, where you're just able to avoid enemies and dodge and attack and do all these things like perfectly. It's just an awesome feeling. There's a lot of satisfaction in that. And it's just a shame that this game doesn't get any more love, because it is quite unique and quite incredible. And it's not very expensive. And the fact that it's not ranked on any of those lists is absolutely heartbreaking. This is a game you should absolutely try, because it is just way too cool not to. It's the most underrated Nintendo game in my opinion. All right, so that's going to do it. What are some games on the Nintendo that you consider to be underrated? Leave a comment down below. Hey, like, comment, subscribe, share on social media, because that actually does help out a lot. Don't forget to bang that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of your CM retro gaming goodness, guys. I look forward to reading those comments. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next one.